What's up, former party people? This is Jerry, the one who actually combs his hair on the A is for Alcoholic podcast. Now, if you're finding value in listening to the AIFA podcast every week and you want to support sharing it with others, we invite you to become a sustaining monthly or per show contributor. Go to patreon.com/AIFA. It's super easy and it only takes a quick moment. It's about as easy as buying one of those pre-cooked space chickens from the grocery store, taking it outside, giving it a big old kiss, and kicking it into traffic. Why would you do that? Anyway, you do you, and I'll do me. Again, go to patreon.com/AIFA. And with that, people, let's start the show.
A is for Alcoholic is a program about recovery. My name is John, and I'm an alcoholic.
And my name is Jerry, and I'm an alcoholic.
Join us as we go through the alphabet of alcoholism, one letter at a time. As always, A is for Alcoholic is brought to you by the Green Camel Press. Green Camel Press. Did I say breast?
Breast? Yeah, sure. Why not? Let's start it off spicy. Yeah.
Spicy breast. I used to get the spicy chicken sandwiches from Wendy's. They were really good.
You used to get a lot of bad shit. Do you remember the KFC bowl? You used to call it the murder bowl. Yo, can I please have a murder bowl?
It had everything. It had like the layer. Do they still have those?
Dude, I don't know, man. That shit is an affront, man. It's just like, it was good, but it was gravy and corn and mashed potatoes and cheese.
Chopped up chicken. It was like the leftover chicken that they would
leftover
just
a little bit of green onion. I think sprinkle. I don't even think they had green onion.
No, man.
No.
That wasn't onion. That was green.
Green Camel Press don't serve that shit though.
No. Green Camel Press is we are a collective of artists who put together cool stuff. greencamelpress.com is our website. Check out our Instagram at Green Camel Press. We're on Twitter at Green Camel Art. And so we do t-shirts, we do greeting cards, we do digital doodles, which are not live, but time-lapse drawings that are really cool. So all kinds of stuff. So go check us out there. We also have two of our other podcasts in the network that I haven't come up with a name yet. I don't necessarily want to call it the John Staley Network, but
Nah.
I'll find some other name. Call it like
the Murder Bowl.
The Murder Bowl Network. But there's the podcast that I do with my girlfriend called Rashida and John, where we talk about fitness and health and relationships and all those things that we often find difficult to talk about. And we try to, get on the mic and share our struggles and our joys as much as we want to, as much as we can, and hopefully it helps somebody.
And you sing a song at the end together, a duet.
We might be working. I don't want to give it away, but we did one for Christmas. If you go to my YouTube.
Oh yeah, I've seen the Christmas one.
We did "Baby It's Cold Outside" for Christmas, and that was hard. Talk about a challenge about working together and doing something with your significant other. And it wasn't hard. There were moments where there were challenges, and it's hard in any relationship to put.
Sing a Christmas carol together.
Yeah, and just because everybody wants to get it right, everybody wants to do a good job. So go check out Rashida and John, and finally, lastly, but not leastly, is the Gluten is Not Your Problem. Have you listened to any of those lately on your walks?
No, I haven't.
You don't listen to it. I mean,
I listened to the first few and I laughed, and then after a while, I'm like, I know Walter, these are just the rantings of Walter.
I know
they're great,
guys.
But I know him personally, so I'm like, this is was. The only difference now is I'm sober listening to the rantings of Walter. Yeah.
I think that's funny. You're like, I listened to the first few, and then I was like, oh, okay, yeah.
I'm like, I kind of know this story. This is like fucking shit you find written on slips of paper in a guy's bunker, on receipts.
The madness, the genius, the madness, the...
Right, exactly. But it's a great podcast. If you don't... I don't think it's not great. I'm like, I know Walter.
No,
and then I can't argue with him. That's why I don't listen to it, really. Because I really want to argue with him.
Yes.
Yeah, dude. I'm going to write in an email.
Should I hit you up next? I think we're supposed to record tomorrow night. I'll shoot you a text if you're around.
Oh yeah, it'll just be you're like, we brought out a surprise guest. It'll be like Maury Povich, and I'm just like, everything you say is so fucking wild to me. but I love you with all my heart, but you don't know what is happening.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I
Maybe.
want to ask him about the raid on Area 51.
Oh, does he know he's got intel?
I don't know if he does or not, but I don't think we've talked about aliens with him. I have
Yeah,
to ask him what he thinks.
we'll see. I mean, he might just surprise me and be like, that shit's not real.
Yeah, I don't know, but he doesn't listen to this podcast either, so he won't.
No.
He won't know what we're talking. That we're talking.
I'm
about
just
him.
talking shit about him before his podcast. No, his podcast, it's great. It is really funny.
I think so. I think we have a good time, and we try to. And he's got amazing stories. Like he's lived a very unique life. I really think that.
Right. Well, and he makes you laugh, and I always think that's funny too. Because in this podcast, we get kind of serious. Well, we do what we do, but there's like a different. It's like a different kind of side to John, a dynamic. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's just, and I think what else I like about recording with him or just talking with him is. Did you ever see that show, An Idiot Abroad, with
yes, with Carl
Ricky
Pilkington?
Gervais? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I feel like I'm Ricky Gervais and he's my Carl Pilkington.
Exactly. As a matter of fact, when I first saw that show, I was like, "This is fucking British Walter." This is like
just feeling uncomfortable and obnoxious and annoyed by
yes.
everything. And
yes, and like common sense to a fault. Like I have no use for these things. And you're like, really, just pants or whatever, jeans? You don't have use for jeans? He's like, why? I don't work on a farm.
No, I got my cargo pants, and that's all I need. White
that's all I need. White socks, cargo pants, 3 pair of slacks.
So yes, that's Gluten is Not Your Problem. If you haven't listened
right.
to it, I suggest you do.
Yeah, check it out.
And then lastly, I just want to say thank you to all of our patrons on Patreon. Yeah. It is it's a great gesture, and we really appreciate it. And
absolutely,
and everybody who writes in, it's always nice to hear from you folks.
Man, that was great, man. That touched me. I really, and I don't mean that in a smart ass way. Like I was really affected by it. Like for a few days, I was riding that high of like, wow, man, I'm making things I'm saying people are listening to, and they're like open to them. That's great,
Well, and yeah, and I think that we talked about sharing, because I mean I guess we share every day, every week on the podcast. It's kind of like sharing, right. And it's hard to share about recovery, and it's hard to share about sobriety, and it's hard to not everybody wants to hear about it. Right?
No, it kind of freaks them out a little bit. With like straight people, if like not like normie, I don't know the term for it, like non-alcoholics, it kind of weirds them out a little bit. Mm-hmm. At least in my experience, personally, I weird them out.
Non-alcoholics, and then other people who I don't know if you ever get this, but they'll kind of commiserate with you in a way where they're like, yeah, I need to cut back a little bit myself. I know what you mean.
I've been thinking about quitting drinking. I know, because I used to do it.
So it's really great, and thank you guys for sharing, and one last thing before we get into the proper meat of the show. If you are listening and if you like what we do, the best thing that you can do is to give us a good rating and write a review on your Apple Podcasts or Google Play or wherever you listen. That stuff really helps push the podcast out to more people.
Yeah.
So if you enjoy it, please share it, rate and review. Yeah. So here we are, the fourth letter of the alphabet, D. And,
D. It's for D's nuts.
D's nuts. I don't know why I was having trouble finding something good or something that I wanted to talk about, and we were spitballing back and forth, and because I want it to be something either not totally cliched or something stupid, and the word discovery came up, and so D is for Discovery, which is a great Daft Punk album from 2001. I don't know if you were into them.
I didn't listen to that one. I mean, I like some of their stuff, but
even more. So in 2003, there was a cartoon, a full-length cartoon that went animated film that went along with the music, and it told this whole story about this interplanetary rock band that came from another planet and so on and so forth, and it's totally crazy. And it's great on its own, but also I remember one time a mutual friend of ours, a younger, hairier man that I used to work with, loud and gruff, and I don't know, he and I used to work at the Rendezvous together back in the day. I don't want to, but you know who I'm talking about, right?
I think so, yeah.
Big beard, young guy.
Oh yeah, yes, yeah, okay,
so,
yeah.
So I remember one time getting hammered with him, and for some reason we were under the impression that there was like, was it Salvia divinorum? Is that the stuff that like, it's like powdered DMT or something, or some version
Well, yeah,
of it?
salvia. Yeah, well, salvia is it's I don't know. It's a hallucinogen, super
Right.
powerful hallucinogen.
So
yeah.
you're supposed to
That's
use,
legal.
that's legal, and you're supposed to
Yeah.
buy it and like burn it in incense, right? And just kind of have it
Right.
in the room.
Yeah, they're like, don't smoke this.
So guess what we
But
did?
smoke it though. Yeah,
But
y'all smoke that shit.
So we were up in Ballard, which is like the north end of Seattle, and we knew that there was a porno shop that was open in Pioneer Square, which is like 6 miles away, 7 miles away. And so
Yeah.
we're drunks. We hop in a cab and we drive. We take the cab down there. We buy the salvia. We drive back to, or go back, cab it back to his place, and we pack the pipe full of that shit. And he puts that movie on, and it's like all this like music and space aliens and all this shit, and like my
Oh, wow.
my arms turned into fish.
Woo!
And like it was fucking, there were like red and green fairies all over the place. Like, I do not suggest this as a means of
Recovery. We're starting a recovery podcast with a salvia story, motherfuckers.
but this is discovery. This was the memory that the word discovery had brought up
Right.
to me, was that we were fucking smoking salvia, and I just
And you
lost-
discovered that salvia is a fucking nightmare, dude.
it was
Yeah.
it was like one of those things where time slows down and you don't think you're
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
get out, and then I realized only like 3 minutes had passed or something.
Yeah.
It felt like
you're like
30
be
hours.
like this forever.
Mm-hmm. So
Yeah.
discovery, as in like what have I discovered about myself? What have you discovered in sobriety
Right.
that didn't exist in your drinking days? And
Right.
I'm glad that we do this, because I don't want to forget those things. And you know, one of the first things you said to me when I got sober was like, tattoo that last bender on your brain. You know, do not forget it. And it's easy to kind of like, when you're floating and feeling good and everything's going well, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't enjoy that, right? I want to enjoy those days, but I also don't want to forget it to the point where I feel complacent or comfortable,
Yeah.
because I've got this problem. But you know, one of the things I have discovered, and just even in the last day or two, is this, like, you talk about being an explorer. You know, Jerry and I were talking about,
Yeah.
I go on these runs, or I just go for a hike or whatever.
Dude,
and
you
it's like,
were just saying before the podcast you went on a 5 a.m. run through downtown Sacramento. Was it
Yeah.
downtown?
It was
yeah,
downtown.
that's some definite, like, that's like Dirty Harry looking for a victim. Like, you just running with a gun, like, just waiting for someone to rob you so you can shoot them in the face. Like,
go ahead.
go ahead. Yeah,
Pick it
I'm a
up.
41-year-old man.
Pick it up.
Pick it up. Yeah.
But yeah, that sort of thing, that my feeling of wanting to be an explorer is really exciting to me. If not just
Yes.
when I was drinking, all I wanted to do was get into my house as soon as I could. The only thing I wanted to explore was the bottom of a bottle of cheap vodka,
Yeah.
you know, and even then, I knew where that was going to take me.
Right.
So,
There's no new landmarks to discover there. Yeah.
no. What would you like? What's one of the first things that you discover, like in early sobriety, that you said that was like a big eye opener for you, or a big like, wow, I had no idea, I was completely blind to this.
Yeah. I didn't realize how hard it would be at the beginning.
Okay.
Like, I really didn't. And then I discovered about myself that I could get through the hard parts without getting fucked up. And I was like, wow, I have a lot more resilience than I thought, you know? Like, I, like, super hated myself. And I'm like, man, I can't do anything without getting fucked up and getting drunk, because that's all I can. That's my only option. That's my only coping mechanism. But then I had learned that I had been through all this other shit before. So, man, why couldn't I just get through this, you know? And I did. And that's what, in early recovery, that's what I discovered about myself, is that I had a resiliency that I never knew I had, you know? They always say it's really hard to kill a person. To, like, physically kill a person with your bare hands, it's, like, super hard, right? So the human body has, like, I don't know where I'm going with this, but it's immediately just thought of how the human body is pretty resilient. Like we adapt. Like physically we adapt to our surroundings for the most part, you know. We adapt to like outside influence kind of hitting us. We kind of move and our internal organs do things and shit. And I think even mentally, even through like hard trauma, we adapt. Some of us compartmentalize. Some of us really bury it hard, and it comes through with PTSD and shit, you know. And I just never thought about that when I was drinking. All I wanted to do was just put a blanket over all the stuff that was bothering me and all the stuff that was too hard and all the things that hurt. Everything that like really tore my heart out when I was younger and just all that shit. You know, I just wanted to put a blanket over it and not have to look at it. And then just that was my whiskey blanket. I just put it over there and be like, you're safe now, Jerry. Yeah. You know, and as soon as I got sober, man, I didn't have that anymore. So when things came up that frustrated me or upset me or outside influences, my family's being shitty, my job fucking sucks, like I'm not making any money, everybody in the world can go eat a fucking dick. You know what I'm saying? Like I had to work through those things without getting loaded, without finding a reason to be like, oh, well, this is a great reason to go off on a bender. This is the perfect reason, you know? And there were times too I'd look at my wife and be like, man, you know what I want right now? I want to fucking drink, you know? And she'd be like, well, are you going to drink? And I'm like, no. You know, I'll put out. Like, no, I'm not going to fucking drink, but I really want to, but I'm not going to. And then I'd wake up the next day, and the problem may still be there, but it's not. It doesn't sear as hard. It doesn't burn as much. Mm-hmm. So I think those early discoveries. As I get older, I get newer ones, you know. Older in my lifespan, yeah, I learn other things, but you know, I still feel like I'm in pretty early recovery compared to some people. And to some people, they're like, that guy's a pro. And I'm like, I ain't shit, you know, like. But, yeah, I think in the beginning it was resiliency.
I like that. I've definitely leveled up and learned. You know, you talk about being, we adapt really well. You know, if whether you lose a limb or it's cold outside and now you have to sleep outside, or we talk about the levels of manageability in alcoholism, you know, whether your body gets used to the poison and then the poison's no longer poison, it's actually medicine, and now my body needs it. I have to have it or I will die. But also we go, well, my wife left me, so I'll be fine with that. And then I lost my car because I got a DUI, but I'll just ride my bike around. And then, you know, I lose my house because I can't pay the mortgage, and now I sleep on the street, but that's fine because I can still drink.
Manageable. That's manageable. I can still drink. Throw the blanket.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And so we keep throwing the whiskey blanket on it, and it just little by little we start to feel it. And so I know for me, it's been this very incremental steps in all of my recovery. I was... and maybe still am, you know, there was a certain level of envy when I would see other people who had these epiphanies and they flipped their life around right away, and then everything that was bad was good, and they were just so happy to be alive, and they would talk about how they came crashing down and they came up from the ashes, and everything was beautiful and wonderful, and I'm so glad to be here, and oh my God, and I was like, so why does this have to suck for me for so long, and why does it have to be like so shitty today, and it's just a little bit less shitty, and but it's been incremental, and I have to remind myself that it's getting better every day. So if it's been 4 years, like what is another 4 years gonna feel like? Well, if I keep this up, even just scratching the surface, like what's going to be underneath there. So
right.
That's something that makes me, I try to remind myself of that so that I won't give up.
Yeah.
You know, that I won't.
Well, yeah. And if we're going to do the compare and contrast thing, because, you know, we do that a lot in recovery, I think, you know, it's like
humans.
It's humans. Absolutely. Yeah. And definitely, at least in my recovery experience, it's a lot of compare and contrast where I go, like just what you said about what happens in 4 years, where when I was like drinking, I was like, well, in 4 years, I'll either be dead or still drinking. You know what I mean? Or I'll be even drunker, or
those are miserable
it won't be
options.
good. What's going to happen in 4 years won't be good. I'm not going to, it's not going to be positive, but that's all right, because I'll just drink on it. But now, like you said, I'm like, wow, I'm already learning new things and discovering things and opening up myself emotionally to things. And like what do I get in 4 years if I continue with this, like this program that I'm working, like this kind of way of recovery and sobriety. Like, do I get something good? Do I get to do good things, or am I gonna have the strength to be able to deal with a hardship that'll happen in the next 4 years? Do you know what I mean? Like, because that's it too. I mean, we were talking earlier before we recorded, and you were talking about how your girlfriend's like, sometimes you got to live life on life's terms, and I think we all forget that. Like, there's no manipulating anything. There's no healthy way to manipulate life to work for you. I don't think so. Because you're just manipulating something and it's not real. You're just bending it to fit the way it needs to fit, and eventually it pops right out again. You're like, damn. Wow, I really shit the bed on all that stuff, So just to flow with it, right? Like a leaf on a stream, dude. Some ants riding on it. One of the ants is Woody Allen or something.
Be like water.
Be like water, yeah.
Yeah, and she said that to me, and I think that was the one. Or she said, "This is the thing that you taught me, John. Like, there's just this moment,
right.
And I was like,
you're
God
like,
damn it,
God damn it, Rashida, don't you use my secret language with me? I know this shit easy does it. One day at a time."
But also, there was something. I think it was on Facebook. I think it was a Mishka Shubaly, and he's been in. And if you guys don't know who Mishka Shubaly is, you should really pick up his book. I swear, I'll make it up to you.
Yeah, it's a good book.
It's been one of the probably the most influential novel about recovery, sobriety, or just being a better human being that I've read in the past, I don't know, 5 years.
Yeah.
But he was saying there was something, he was asking a question on Facebook because he's been writing, and he's apparently something about sobriety. And he said what's something that you learned now that you didn't know while you were drinking, or there was something to that effect? And
ooh, that's a great question.
And so the thing that if I don't think about the precipice of me quitting, but if I think about me like deep into it, not worrying, not thinking about a way out, not worrying about a way out, just being miserable and drunk and having these highs and these crashing lows and all this stuff, is that I was totally ignorant that there was even a way to fix myself, that there was even a way out. Like the idea of a way out. I mean, I knew about AA. I went to that one meeting drunk out of my fucking mind at 8 o'clock in the morning. And, you can hear that story on one of the other podcasts. But it was just that I was completely ignorant. And like, I look back at that person, I look back at that version of me, and I want to be like, hey man, like, it's okay. It's all right. There is a way that you don't have to feel that way anymore. Now, I don't know if I would have listened to myself, but that was something that now I'm like, oh, so if I was ignorant about that, what am I ignorant about now? And there's no reason to beat myself up over the fact of some shit I may not even get to know until another year from now. And then go, oh, you dingus. Like,
right.
You know what I mean? So we talk a lot about like trusting the process, and that's a really hard thing to hear when you're in the midst of feeling frustrated, angry, irritable, and discontent. You're like,
well,
hey, man,
dude,
just trust the process, bro. It's gonna be all right.
Exactly. You're like, this process is fucking horse eggs. This thing's fucking is awful. Fuck
horse
you.
eggs? Is that a thing?
I don't know. I just made it up right now. Yeah,
That's
horse
good.
eggs. This shit is.
That's
too
a
big
new
old
T-shirt idea.
It's just this process is horse eggs. It's fucking. It's so hard though when you're in it. Like I'm still in it. We're still in it, but the early shit is really hard. It's really hard. It takes a lot of fucking balls. I don't know if I say that enough in this podcast, but it just, and if you're a woman, it takes a lot of fucking uterus. It takes a lot of, fallopians. I don't know, man. I don't know my body geography, body geography.
It's called anatomy, but yes.
Anatomy, yeah. I went to public
body
school.
Geography of horse eggs.
Body geography of horse eggs, of ladies. It just takes a lot of inner fortitude to like get through that early shit and to get your step steady and to kind of start walking in the pattern of life. And you don't have to do what everybody else around you is doing. But if you see someone around you doing something and they're like actually starting to like themselves and realize they're capable of being loved and giving love, you're like, well, damn, maybe I should kind of do what that person's doing a little bit. But I don't know, man. That early shit's hard. It's still hard, man. I had a fucking total. I'm pointing outside like everybody can see. I had a total nervous breakdown over my pool. right? I bought this 10-foot inflatable ring pool for Olive, and it sprung a leak right on the seam. And it's like one of those leaks that you can't really fix because it's not a pinhole. It's like on the glue on the seam itself came loose, right? So, and it was slimy on the bottom because I haven't been maintaining it. Not as well as I can. So I emptied the whole thing out and cleaned it, and like I just put duct tape on the seam. I thought that would hold the water back, and it didn't. So I filled it up, and the water is leaking out. So I went to the True Value down the block from my house, and I realized that the dudes at the True Value are kind of fucking dicks. Like, I don't like them. They're kind of rude. Yeah, they're like over my shit because I'm just some dope with tattoos who needs silicone glue for a pool, and they're like, I don't know, buddy. Here, take this, Chief. He kept calling me Chief. Like, every time I come in here, you guys are kind of dicks. So I bring it home, and I glue up the seam on the pool, and immediately just pops that fucking leak. I put a patch, glue that, pops a leak. I bring my wife out, and while I'm talking to her, I realize that the inflatable ring has a hole in it now, too, I guess, from me cleaning it. So the ring's, like, flat. So I'm like, can we just throw this away? Can I just empty this out and throw it? Because I'm just going to sit here and stare at it and obsess over it. And she's like, nah, Jerry, let Olive swim in it a couple more times. And my kid swam in it like 3 times. You know, she's 9. She's like, yeah, I want a pool. And then she's like, this water's too cold, you know?
Yeah, she's not.
Yeah, and I'm like, God damn, you know, she's not going to swim in this again. And so I'm sitting there, I'm just like defeated by the world. I'm like, well, you know, I'm going to avoid the argument with Megan. I don't want to be a fucking dick and throw it away. She might want to swim in it. But I'm just so bummed out because there's a problem out there that I cannot solve. Like, I just have no capability to solve it. I just got to let it do what it does, you know? But for like about 20 minutes, I was just like so defeated, man. I was like a hangdog motherfucker. I was just walking around this house, just shuffling around, bummed out. And now I look at the pool, it's still leaking, and I'm like, there's nothing I can do about that right now. So let it fucking leak, you know, whatever. I'll still pour bleach in it tomorrow.
It's still,
you know, like,
it fills up for a while, right?
It'll stay full for weeks. It's a slow leak, but it's enough of a leak that I notice it. It is a problem that needs to be attended to, and within the alcoholic part of my mind that needs to control, manipulate everything around him, it is a big, glaring fucking red check mark. It's a big problem that needs to be attended to. And then when I change perspective and zoom out, it's a fucking pool with a tiny hole in it, and I bought it for $50 at Walmart. Yeah, $50 is a lot of money, but it's in the grand scheme of things, I'm like, dude, Olive will get in it 2 more times, and she'll be like, it's super cold, and then I'll be able to just throw the damn thing away. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it's out of my hands. Like, this is that one thing I can't deal with, you know? There's the discovery.
Surrender.
Sometimes I just gotta, surrender. Acceptance, right? Acceptance. That's that big buzzword, man.
How do you define surrender? Like,
that just fucking throwing my hands up in the air, throwing a big fit, and then realizing I'm dumb about it later. Like, being like, that wasn't worth the fit at all. But in all honesty, how I you're asking me how I would define surrender?
well, yeah. So, like, when we talk about letting it go and having, so we spend all this time trying to control and squeeze and manipulate and choke the shit out of life to get what we want from it.
Right.
And so the idea of recovery and sobriety, our idea at least, is to just let go and if life is going to run away from us.
Exactly.
So
actually visualize it in my head. I visualize my hands. I think I've said this before. I visualize my hands just opening my fingers and just letting it drop where it needs to drop, because that's where it needs to be right now, you know? That's where it needs to be right now. You know, I think about it like, even in my personal life, if I'm fighting with a family member or somebody's being awful that I'm close to, my natural reaction is to fight it, right? Is to like kick and claw at it and try to push it into the box where it needs to go. And I have to I have to walk away from it. I really do. It's all, you know what? I'll go off in this little tangent here. But I was talking to a friend of mine who was visiting, who's a really talented journalist and a writer, and he's been working on a fictional story about a detective, right? And we talked about how I wrote for a long time, and I told him I've always been envious of you guys who can write actual stories, because I write poems and I cannot follow that story arc. I can only work in a short, condensed, poetic way. And he was telling me, you know, I've always been jealous of guys like you can write poems because I've never been good with prose. He said, but if you ever have a hard time with it, what I do is I do it just like the way you paint. Like, you don't paint everything in an hour. Like, it takes you months. You just keep going back and refining it. And I really feel like life is like that, right? You don't live your life in one day. Like, you have to walk away from things and then come back and refine it later so it comes out better in the end, you know? And I think that's a lot of my problems. Unless they're like, the house is on fire or something.
Well,
But
then,
if
then
it's
yeah. if that's the
then
case, then you
finish
fucking-
that fucking painting, right? Yeah. But like these big things that I cannot tackle, my letting go is to be like, you know what? Maybe later on I'll have a better idea and I can refine this because this isn't necessary right now. Or and if there are other things like I'm down to collaborate. That's why I'm so stoked I have my wife because I'm like, we can't pay this bill. What do we do? You know, or we can't take care of this. You know. And that once again, that's reaching out to someone else. So even if you don't have a spouse or a significant other, or you know, there's got to be someone out there you can reach out to and be like, I don't know what to do. I need help. You know,
family, friends.
so collaboration
coworkers,
and
yeah.
refinement, dude, refining.
That's
you know,
great.
going back. It's like a work in progress. And I know I sound like one of those fucking. What did he call them? Those knitted fucking. I can't remember the term. He used.
It's the banal cross stitch sayings.
Yeah, they're true though, right? Sometimes they are. It's like that refinement, that one day at a time. Take it easy, you know. Take it easy, you know.
I love this idea that life is like painting, you know. So
Yeah.
the one day you got to go out there and you got to stretch the canvas, right? You got to
Right.
do that, and then maybe you've got an idea, but you got to kind of go around and whether you Google some images or research something about the whatever you're painting, and
Right.
you get all that stuff in your head, and then you're like, well, now I got to put a pencil on the canvas because I don't just fucking
Right.
grab a paintbrush. So like you go weeks, maybe months into painting a painting before you even touch the paint.
Yes.
So,
You can, yeah. At least hours for me. You know, I'll prep a canvas. It'll take 12 hours, 14 hours just to get the canvas ready. Just to get the canvas ready, just to sketch the design on. Because you have to. Well, I guess you do take weeks and months because you have to sit there and conceptualize what it is that lives in your brain that you want to express. You know, so it's life is like that. It's all prepping. Recovery's like that.
Yeah.
You prep and then you paint. The only thing about recovery is you just don't stop painting.
no, it's true. Well,
No,
you,
you just
you
keep
paint
on-
you paint new paintings, and it's,
Right. Lots of different processes. Yeah, that's even better than my analogy. Let's just dump my analogy and work with yours because I was thinking of it as one
One big
arc,
painting, but that's-
I like yours because every time you finish with something, you pick something else up and learn a new lesson and learn how to. Yeah, bam, dude. See, we don't even smoke pot, and we're having these deep ass conversations.
Well,
There's
unless-
no salvia involved in this
no,
at all.
none whatsoever. Unless you're like one of those street painters that does like fucking Cosmos paintings with his thumb.
Nah, I don't
Like,
know how I feel about those guys. I hate those guys. to
You
be
don't
honest
like
with
those
you. I don't
guys?
hate them. Hate's a strong word. I don't want to be.
But the
throwing that H
painter
word
in
around.
you is
It's like, come on now.
he's using like a McDonald's cup to like make the moon
Right.
and like spray
It's all
paint. it.
Quasar. There was one in Tucson who had a booth that said "Stop Graffiti," and he did it all with spray paint. He's like,
Oh.
"Stamp out graffiti," and I was a graffiti writer, and I always walk by my friends, and I'd always say shit. I'd say shit to him and be like, "Fuck you, dog." It's like little 17-year-old me trying to be tough. Fuck you, eh?
And this guy's just
he
trying to
just-
make a living on the street.
He's just trying to make fucking get diaper money for his kids.
It sounds like a resentment, Jerry.
I got a ninth step that dude from the 4th Ave Street Fair in Tucson, Arizona in 1992.
Oh man.
Yeah. Sorry about that, Brian. You just try to feed your kids.
But I love that idea that we sit in, because I do it all the time where I get overwhelmed, and you know my big thing right now has been money and work and trying to
Right.
find work that I love, and then
Right.
getting used to the fact that I have to work some jobs that I don't love and all this stuff.
Yep.
And I'm just like, you know, I'm not special, and I'm gonna have to do this one way or another until something else comes up, and then I work on this, and then I do this, and then whatever it is. But I get overwhelmed,
Right.
and I get stressed out, and then I'm like, and then I, you know, my girlfriend was like, "So John, can I ask you, who do you owe money to today? Did you pay your rent?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Did you pay all your bills?" "Yeah." "Is there anybody blowing up your phone?" And I was like, "No." "Is there somebody banging on the door right now?" Like, "No." "Okay." Like, she was totally throwing it back in my face,
Right.
like stuff that I would say to somebody else, you know? And,
Right.
And I was
exactly.
like,
Yeah.
and I was like, not throwing it in my face in a bad way, but you know, we were talking about it, and
just turning the mirror on you, going, "Look, dude." You're like, "Thanks a lot, Rashida."
and I was like,
Appreciate using my own words on me,
Yeah.
Rashida. Thank you.
and so it was like, oh, okay, you're right, you're absolutely right, and
Yeah.
you know, there I was with everything that I was worrying about and everything that I was having all this anxiety about today, and I had to think like, okay, Do you have money in your wallet? Yeah. Okay. Well then, is there food? It's like, yeah, I had dinner. Okay. Well, then what exactly are you worrying about again, John? Like,
Right. Mm-hmm.
maybe you should go put that energy and effort into something else. And if you're really frustrated about, this new job that I'm starting, like, or whatever it is, then figure it out, because that's part of, for me, that discovery of being able to figure things out. Like, what does it take to make this work? Everything that I have done up to this point, every creative endeavor, including this podcast with you,
Yeah.
would not have been possible. We say this all the time, when we were drinking. This would have
Ah.
been another Barstool dream, where we would have
Yes.
spent the money on whiskey and ginger ale and never completed a goddamn thing. So,
Right.
that's something that I have discovered, is just that, like, I'm able to figure this out, and I am capable, and doggone it, people like me. But
Well, not only that, but you're ambitious too, which I never would have described you as ambitious when we were drinking. I would
No.
have been like, yeah, John's not necessarily ambitious. He's really great at imposing his will over us, but
that's not the
I
same
guess that's
thing.
his ambition, is making us all get in a cab and go somewhere we can't afford, but but like
I would sometimes I thought I was a fancy bartender for a very long time, and
well, you were fancy.
I was
mean,
fancy, but I mean, I took it to the nth degree, and so I would drag all my friends to some swanky cocktail bar where I'd try to get Jerry to drink really expensive booze that he didn't.
You'd be
wanna
like, this
have.
has not only does it have the famous gin in it, but we took a moth and dusted his wing
Leaves.
dust on
Yeah,
the top of the gin, and it's got 2 cicada wings in it, and like a cinnamon stick from Spain, and I'm like, I just want fucking Evan Williams. I'll take your $80 shot of Armagnac or whatever, because I thought it was like a blowjob shot. I thought it
Right.
would have whipped cream or something, and I'm like, something sweet, like a fucking, like a 14-year-old drinks. And,
And
yeah,
if I can
that
make
didn't work.
maybe like some correlation to that, is like, you talk about, you said you're like, man, you're an explorer, and I was like, maybe there was a little grain of that explorer in there.
I think so.
And now that I'm thinking about it, because just the other day I agreed. I had a friend of mine who was in from out of town as well, my friend Ryan,
Yeah.
and he has been he wanted to talk to me about getting sober, and he was asking me some questions about it, and he was talking about concerns that he'd had. And this is a guy who has traveled the world with rock stars and all kind. I mean, he has partied in the highest end. I really trying to get him to share some of those stories, but I think that
Right.
he still has some NDAs that he can't break. I'm not sure.
Right. You
but-
can't be like, yo, I ate a bunch of ecstasy with Kanye and fucking
right. Yeah.
with Kanye and Elizabeth Warren, dude. We had a fucking 3-way.
Exactly. But he's like, hey, you want to go sailing? And I was like, sailing? Sure. Fuck it. Let's go. Like, this is awesome. And so there I find myself, out there on his boat, sailing with this very small crew. And we're just going across the San Francisco Bay. But
Yeah.
it was awesome. So we sat, and he and I went off to Angel Island, and we had this, we took a walk and had a long talk. And so this idea of discovering, like, oh, wow, I want to go sailing again. I had no idea I really enjoyed this. How do you feel about
Yeah.
boats? Do you get on boats?
I like boats. Yeah, I've spent my honeymoon on a yacht.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and it was the best sleep I'd ever had in my life.
Wow.
The best that I can recall was on a yacht, because the boat rocks when you're docked, right? And so to me, it was like having my mama hold me, and just rock me to sleep. Except I was sleeping next to my wife, which is, I don't know. There's something to be said about that. There's probably a psychiatrist out there listening right now, being like, "Yep, yep, that's it right there. You got that fucking Oedipus complex." Gross
So-
motherfucker.
I think that that's part of it too, that I just go, like, these are new experiences I never would have thought. One, I never would have had.
Or
said
you
yes
would have
to.
had them, or if you would have had them, you wouldn't have remembered them. They would have had the same value. You know what I mean?
as
They
sitting
would
on a
have-
bar stool.
Yeah, or even, I mean, you would absolutely, I think, would get drunk and get on a boat. You just wouldn't remember it, or you'd almost fall in the water, or you'd do something
Damage
super
something,
ridiculous
yeah.
and embarrass yourself. Yeah, yeah,
Rather than have this, like, genuine connection with people that I just met, and just have a great time, and not have to worry about whether or not I had too much to drink, or if I brought enough.
Right.
that business, that whole idea of like, oh, I don't know, man.
I don't know.
We can't
Yeah.
leave shore until we've got enough booze.
We need
So,
our provisions, Yeah, definitely. And just what a fucking drag,
yeah.
What
So
a drag.
it was a really awesome day that I was like, I want to do this again. Like, what does it take to learn how to sail a boat? Could I sail
Maybe
a
that's
boat?
your new pursuit. You're gonna stop running and start sailing, or
You
maybe you
know?
can sail to an island and run around the island and then sail back.
Right? I don't know.
Yeah, mix the 2, right? Like nautical jogging.
Nautical jogging.
Yeah,
If anybody knows of anything like this, let us know. I'd be
right.
curious.
You're like, we're sailing out to the tennis islands and we're gonna run them.
Who's with me? Let's go.
Who's with me? And then all of a sudden you're writing a book.
So these things are exciting to me now, and they never would have been. They never would have been anything, And this guy that my friend Ryan, and I remember being backstage, and there were some very, very big names at this concert. I mean, there was. I don't want to go into it because I don't want.
No, and then what did you do though when you were backstage at the concerts?
While the band was on stage, I drank all their booze. Well, I didn't drink all of it, but I wasn't there to see the band. I was there to be backstage. I was there to drink booze backstage. I was there for some, wannabe clout or status to drink Jack Daniels and Heineken in a dirty fucking green room.
And steal their ham. You stole their ham.
Did I steal ham? Yeah. I don't.
Yeah, you told me, dude. I stole a bunch of their ham and put it in my pockets and ate it later.
Gross.
Yeah, that's what you told me you did. I might have been one of my stories. I'm projecting onto yours though, because I was
I put a
definitely
chicken
notorious
finger in my
food
pocket
stealer.
too of a leather jacket I had one time, and I think I ate it the next day.
Yeah, yeah.
But no, and I remember I did. I had it in this old jacket that my dad gave me from the 70s. And I was like chicken fingers from Caro's or something like that, like Sherry's,
Yeah,
from a sampler platter.
You're like just taking out like a cigar. And
I did,
like a cigarette. Nice to meet you, ladies. Would you like a chicken finger?
But I remember Ryan. This is like 2004 maybe, and he was going to introduce me, and I was talking about being in radio, and he was working with these other people, and he was working with the band and working with like the local radio station or whatever. And he's like, John, I would love to introduce you, but you're just too drunk. And that thing that stuck in my head all these years. And I told him last weekend we were talking, and he's like, yeah, I don't know if that was just you or me or whatever. And I was like, I don't take any offense. You were absolutely right to say that. Because I probably was, and if you thought I was, then I certainly was. So
yeah. Oh, you were.
So instead of like hanging on someone's coattails and just being some sort of thinking I was some drunken buffoon that could get away with being funny or clever, it was kind of thrown in my face that was not the case at all. And now these same people are proud to invite me onto a boat with people they just met, and you know what I mean? Like that feels a lot better.
Yeah, they don't feel trapped with you. They feel like they want your presence. You know what I'm saying?
I'll help them enhance. Is everything all right with the headphones?
Dude, it's because I'm wearing my glasses and they're like mashing the arms of the glasses into my skull.
I'm sorry.
So I'm like, and then I take the glasses off and my weak eye muscles are like, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's not a big deal. I just found the sweet spot right here. Actually, we're good.
Yeah,
Sorry, I derailed your shit.
That's
completely.
okay. That's
should
okay.
I should I go make the dog bark too?
No.
We'll just add that in there too.
No, man, just that idea of discovering something new that I wouldn't have had otherwise, because I've done all the drinking that I think that I will. I say I think because I don't want to say forever for sure, but I don't think there's any more drinking or drugs to be done for me.
No, yeah, I don't think so either. I take those things. I remember I remember some of the embarrassing things and the real cringy things I did and the embarrassing things I said and the opportunities I fucked up. Like I remember them, and I keep remembering them. Like that's that whole tattooing that last drunk on your brain. Like that is what I'm capable of and so much more. So I have to hold on to that shit. Like I can't forget it, because if I forget it, then I'm like the lie becomes true again. All the glamour. all the glamour folds me into it. So I have to be like, yeah, remember that time you fucking said all that awful shit, or you fell asleep out there, or you like fucking, you know what I mean, hit on someone's wife in front of them and almost fought them. Like, you need to remember that shit, dude, because that's what you do. That's all you do. It's not going to be different next time. You'll find a meaner way to do it, and then nobody will want to hang out with you anymore, and then you'll have to just be alone again. Damn, dude. You're like, I don't want that shit. You know? So that's also another form of discovery for me, is I've discovered that the bad shit could be good for me. Remembering the bad shit could be good for me, you know?
Well, yeah, it's important. I was watching this, I think it was just like a video essay on, it was talking about the Heart of Darkness and Apocalypse Now. You know, and talking about and I don't know if you're familiar with Apocalypse Now, right?
Yeah, it's one of my favorite movies.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we talk about, you know, what the evil that lives within inside of us, that if we are free of the social constraints of society and the morality of good and evil, that, you know, it can do whatever. And
right.
I think that, is it Lieutenant Kurtz? Is that Marlon Brando's character?
That's Brando's character, yeah.
You know, I think that it's important to, I mean, and that character, there's a lot of justification. There's a lot of, you know, even though he says, if you take a picture of me, I'll cut your head off, and all these things, like, he has all this justification because the rest of the world is dark and evil as well, you know, whether or not they say they're good. So reminding myself of those evil things keeps me, that I'm capable of, I think keeps me grounded in the things that I have already done. I don't have to live in the past, and I don't have to define myself by those things, but reminding me keeps me from going so far deep into the jungle that I can never come out again. You know?
Yeah. But it's your lesson. You learn that lesson. It's like negative reinforcement in a way to learn a lesson, you know? I think I've said it before. It's like touching a hot stove when you're little, and you're like, fuck, that was stupid. I'm never going to do that again. Do you know what I mean? But alcoholics, we just keep grabbing the stove for some reason, you know? We're like, it won't burn this time.
It won't burn this time. It feels so good.
Right. And then you get out of the cloud, and you're like, wow, I really injured myself emotionally and physically. And I injured not only myself, but more importantly, the people around me emotionally and physically. And I don't want to do that anymore. But, you know, there's that magical thing in your brain that fires off when you drink, and then you just do it. You don't even think about it. At least I don't think about it. And so I have to think about it. It's that circular logic, you know? It's super weird circular. It's not weird logic at all. It's just like, you drink, I do mean shit. Don't forget the mean shit you do, Jerry, because the minute you forget the mean shit you do, once again, to reiterate, I tell myself the lie, and then I just go through with the lie, you know? I know a few active alcoholics, and I just watch them walk in a circle every night, you know, or every day. They just walk that same exact fucking path with there's no benefit to them other than just to give themselves that little hit of fucking dopamine. Do you know what I'm saying? And like, that shit makes me sad, dude. Yeah, it makes my heart hurt for them. Like, I want to, you know, but it's not my job to tell them. But I want to sit down and be like, it could be better, man. All you gotta do is come to my crazy cult. All you gotta do is give me $150.
I just need $150,000, and yeah, no,
right. Then I get in my car and I'm like, yeah, the meeting's up here in the woods. And just keep going. Yeah, it's through that alley there. No, I'll wait here. You gotta go alone.
Like Jimmy and Karen in Goodfellas. Yeah, there's some. There's the nice coats.
Some new coats down there. No, just keep going. You take a left. No, keep going. Nice coats, mink coats.
You know, the truth is, man, you can join your own cult. You can make your own cult. You can
absolutely, yeah.
You don't have to. It's such a personal thing, and you know, when I was talking to my friend Ryan this weekend, and because I get excited if one of my friends says, "Hey, I'm trying to get sober," or "I want to get sober," or "I'm curious about how you do it." Not even like I want to, but like, what's up with you? And then I think immediately in my brain, and this is just my I get my narrow view or my selfish, you know, thoughts, like, oh, this is my chance to help them, and I can be good, and I will show them the way. And then I start talking, and they're like, I said, so how did it feel, like, quitting? And, you know, it's like, you know, it was kind of easy once I decided to do it. And I was like, and part of me is like, man, you're not like me. Fuck that. Like, but we sit there and we're talking, and it's like, it's different for every single person, and they have
It
people,
is,
every single
yeah.
person has their own challenges, their own reasons, their own
Yeah.
abilities, their own hurdles to overcome. Like, just because it was easy for him to quit drinking, and maybe he's got other things going on, and maybe he had things what am I trying to say, that made that decision a lot easier, things that came
Right.
up. It doesn't make him any less of an alcoholic or any
Right.
less of an addict because
Right.
one part of recovery was easier than the other. I shouldn't be jealous. I should be
No.
fucking elated and happy, and like, and I
Right.
was, and I told him that, and I said, man, that's awesome. I'm so glad I didn't have it as easy. So what, and we talked about, what do you want to do next, and what are your plans, and good for you, and I hope that we can talk again. And that was one of the things he said. He's like, man, I just want to open, like sort of rekindle our friendship, or be more, discuss more about it. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that was a really cool thing, that it's easy for me to realize, or to think that everybody's like me, and then to find out that even my
Right.
close friends are like, nah, man, I don't know. You do you. I just wanted to ask you some questions. And
Right.
So I don't know. It's
Right.
cool. So, I mean, whatever cult you
Well,
you
and
feel
we're all,
works.
you already know this, we're all on a spectrum. We all have one thing in common. Those of us who sat down and went, wow, my drinking is unmanageable, and I have an obsession, like an emotional obsession, physical. I have a physical dependence and emotional obsession, because once the physical dependence is gone, I'm still sitting here thinking about it, we have that in common, but other than that, we're all on a spectrum. Some people put it down and never come back to it. They just put it right down, never have to go to a meeting, never need any type of support group. They're completely fine. They learn things about them and grow emotionally, and more power to them. I would love to know their secret. Like, please, self-addressed, stamped envelope, greencamelpress.com, But I mean, we're all different, yeah. And it's totally human to be like, oh, motherfucker, like, oh, it was easy, huh? Yeah, because I've felt that way too, I have. In the deepest part of me, someone will come up and be like, man, I didn't even use a program. I just stopped drinking. I'm like, oh, you ain't no real fucking alcoholic. Bro.
Right?
You don't need no fucking...
That's not
What?
helpful.
What? Yeah, you sweat your ass off, huh? You see some shit, you cry, you just cry. You see anything and cry. No? You just had a weekend drinking problem. Get out of here. But that's the horrible part of my brain. I'm not the sobriety police. And I'm definitely not the alcohol police. I tried to be the alcohol police. I kept losing the alcohol,
Right?
Right, yeah.
Your arrest rate was terrible.
It was awful. Yeah, exactly. I was like, this is all my booze, and then I get drunk and you guys just take it. Or I would just take yours. But yeah, it's hard not to go there. That's also that resentment shit, Those are those little tiny poison, even if it's just a little tiny sting, Like, I still look at people who drink, who may not be alcoholics, but definitely party, and I feel envy sometimes. Like, yeah, and I have resentments all the time. People say wild shit to me without thinking about it, Hey, I spent my birthday sober like you. I'm like, congratulations. And they're like, yeah, I had the flu. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about to me? Like, you weren't sober, you had the fucking flu, you dingbat. Like,
And
like, oh yeah, really, you had the flu, and so you didn't drink on your birthday? Like, what do you want from me, a cake or something? Like, like commiserate with you? Like, yeah, it's pretty tough, huh? Anyway, there's one of my resentments, man. I better get my pen. Bing,
speaking
bing.
of birthdays, aren't you having a birthday coming up here soon?
Yeah, August 9th. So how many days is it? Like 10 days, 11 days away or something?
Something
I'll
like
be
that.
44, dude.
What are you gonna do?
That's the Eminem birthday, dude.
Why do you say that? Is it M?
Because all of his raps are like that, dude. 44. 4-4 on the floorboards of my four-door Ford. Coming down the corridor. Hardcore porn.
I'm not the kind of guy
that's
who covers cock in a locker room. Did you?
Yes, exactly. Do you know what I'm saying? That's the Eminem rap. 44. 44. 44 four-door corridor.
Yeah.
Down in Mordor. Mannequins, Bennigans.
Speaking of
But yeah,
raps,
so I'll be 44.
so what do you have?
I'm
Any
going to write you a
plans?
birthday rap.
No.
I'm going to write a birthday rap, and then I'll do it next podcast.
Be careful what you say online.
I ain't
out
writing no
loud.
birthday rap. My rapping days are behind me. You guys think I'm joking, but I had like a whole thing there. But anyway, what were you going to ask me?
So when I talked to Joe Valentino, when we did the, did you listen? You didn't listen to that podcast.
Yes, I did listen to it. Well, I listened to the snippet you had
little
put
mini
on
one.
Instagram.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was like I listened to the whole thing. I love
okay.
Joe.
Well,
I
I
like
know.
Joe's opinions way more than Walter's, dude. I'm just saying.
I would love to get a podcast with Joe too.
Yeah.
No, he said I asked him if Los Mestizos was ever going to come back.
I
He
know,
said
I
that
heard
was up
that.
to
And he's
you.
like,
He's like, if
I'm
Jerry
like-
writes some more rhymes.
Joe, send me a beat. You know, I'll see what I can do, but I can't guarantee it'll be. I'm so critical of all that shit, man.
I want to produce the second album. I know it's
We'll
like
just-
20 years apart, but
We'll just do 2 songs. You know, I don't know if I can even write. I don't even know how to write a song. We'll see. I've been actually. It's funny you bring it up. That's serendipitous. I mean, I know this is a recovery podcast, but I have been thinking about writing songs lately. It's been coming up a lot, writing, and I think it's like this weird serendipitous bear in the universe kind of thing that pushes me in directions. Sometimes this is my concept of that higher power, where it's this gentle, coincidental nudge. You know, it's like right when I decided to quit. Right around the time I decided to quit drinking, and all these sober people kept coming into my life and getting tattoos from me, and you know, it's all that kind of thing where these gentle nudges, you know. But I guess that'll be B for bear. That'll be next year. But
We'll see.
yeah, we'll see.
I want to produce the next album, the next EP.
Yeah, we'll work it out, right? And then the next podcast should be like Green Camel Press, Green Camel Press presents Los Mestizos.
brought to you
Two
by
white-
A's for Alcoholics.
Hey, what? 2 white Mexican Americans. 3rd generation Mexican Americans.
Oh man, I think it'd be awesome. I really don't remember any of the old stuff, but I bet it was awesome anyway.
I don't remember it at all. That's so funny. He says he has it because I don't remember any of that. I don't remember any of it at all.
Re-release,
But yeah, yeah,
remastered.
yeah. The Martinelli's Chronicles.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I'd be curious. I would want to post. Ask anybody who's listening to write in and hit us up on Facebook or Instagram, and I would be curious as to what other people have discovered. Like, what have been
Yeah.
their big,
Yes.
you know? Because I know we talk a lot, and we don't necessarily ask, but I would love to hear what other people have discovered in their sobriety, in their recovery.
I love that back and forth, the engagement, you know, and it's not
Yes.
like a ploy to get more people to listen or anything. Like, I love the engagement portion of this because I learn things from people, and I hear things, and then you read me the emails, and I'm like, I'll learn a little something, you know. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I learn from people all the time. I love it. I love input.
It's
Hit
a
me up on my
huge-
Instagram too.
Yes.
Shit.
Check out Jerry Wagner Jr.
Yeah, at Jerry Wagner Jr. You
Mm-hmm.
can see pictures of my dog. Sometimes I take my shirt off. It's wild, dude.
But yeah, you know, one of the things too, here's another discovery, but like you talk about the engagement, and I have found that it's just, I take little bits and pieces from everybody that I meet and talk to. And I
Yes,
go, wow,
same
I
here.
never heard about that. And I'll be writing shit down and putting thing in my phone or something, like if it's notes, and I'm like, oh man, I need to remember that. That's really good. And then that becomes a part of my recovery. And then when somebody asks me some questions, and I mean, ultimately, I'm just regurgitating everything else I've learned, but but I kind of put it into my own package that works for me. And so if anybody has tips, tricks, notes, please,
Yeah.
any discoveries, we would love to hear from you as well.
Absolutely. Please. Please, we're desperate. We're desperate.
Yeah, man.
We need new content.
We need new content, always.
We can't just keep making letters up. At some point, it's just going to be John and I just talking about our day and our favorite movies. And then I'd be like, you still sober? And you'll be like, yeah. And I'll be like, yeah, me too.
How was that? How about that Infinity War 6?
Haven't seen that Infinity War 6. I'm like, how's Tennis Island and your running yacht club?
That'd be cool. Get your canvas
Right.
shoes. Come check it out.
Boat shoes and running. Right? We're gonna drink fucking salt water out of coconuts.
Reverse osmosis, man. We'll have all the fresh water we need on the boat.
It's gonna get fucking weird. I'm down.
Thanks again for listening. Our music, as always, is by Neglect. You can find more of his stuff at neglect.bandcamp.com.
And you can find us on all social media platforms that matter: Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And you can reach us at aisforalcoholic@gmail.com.
Talk to you later.
Yeah.